Hey everyone, it's Grandmaster Ben Finegold here with a new video in our video series on Gambits. This is the Queen's Gambit accepted. So that's a gambit where black actually accepts the gambit. After d4, d5, c4, which is the Queen's Gambit, black can take on c4 and accept the gambit. And in this video, we're going to look at 4 different traps that black can fall into. So if you have the white pieces, these are good to know. Now, I learned the Queen's Gambit for both sides when I was a small child and I was learning chess, because I played d4 then, and I do now. And I was really worried about losing a pawn. When I was between like unrated and 1700, the first like 5 or 6 years of my chess play, I didn't want to be down a pawn. And I always played the move e3 because we get our pawn back right away. And black has a few things that he can do to try not to lose his pawn. The Grandmaster level, they just let you take the pawn back. But a lot of club players and even beginners will play the move b5. And they are trying to save their pawn. Okay, now we play a4. And black has a tough decision here because his pawns are all attacked and he has no pieces out. So I want to show you a couple of mistakes that black can make. One is c6. This is one of the first traps I ever learned. I was probably 6 or 7 years old. You trade on b5 and then play queen f3. I actually saw a 2000 player fall into this. And you can't defend your rook. You can't move your rook. So you're either going to lose your rook or you're going to give up one of these minor pieces instead. So not a good choice. White's already winning. And the other way to defend your b pawn, or so you think, is to play a6. That actually doesn't defend the b pawn, because after I take, the rook is pinning the a pawn to the black rook. So you can't take this pawn because you lose your rook. So a6, c6, that doesn't work. Black's queen side is falling apart. You're going to win all those pawns. So b5 doesn't work. Now, we could also play the move e5. Okay, and the reason is if white takes, black's going to trade queens and make white's king move. So usually we take. And here, most people just take back on d4. They play the move ed. But knight f3 is an interesting alternative, and it gives black a chance to blunder. There's nothing wrong with knight f3. And if black is greedy, which a lot of people are, they can blunder here by taking the pawn on e3, a very bad move. Either knight f6, knight c6, or bishop b4 check should be played. And now we have a very tricky move, which we see in a lot of openings, which is bishop takes f7 check. We're trying to make the black king move away from the queen so we can take the queen for free. So black plays king e7. And some people might even see bishop f7 and think that this is okay, because black is still temporarily up a pawn, the queens are going to get traded, etc. But now white has the very strong queen b3. White's down a pawn, but unfortunately for black, black's down a king. That king is never going to be safe. Not ever, not never. Now we're threatening the knight on g8, and white's going to be up a piece. So black should play knight h6. If he takes with check first, king takes, that's the end of black. We're threatening the knight. We're threatening rook e1 check. We're threatening bishop g5 check. That's the end of black's king. The best way to play is knight h6, attacking the bishop, then take, then check. And what's funny is after king e2, it looks like we're studying some bomb cloud theory. And you might think, well, the king's on e2, the king's on e7. Well, I can tell you black is completely lost here. The engine says +7 for white. The reason is this bishop and this king are finished. They can't get out. They can't get safe. My king's actually pretty safe because I can play rook d1 attacking the queen, and then my king can go back to f1, or I could play rook e1 and get your king that way. My bishop is out. My rook can get out. Your bishop's not out. Your rook can't get out. My king can go to safety later if I need to. Probably not. This king, nope. That king is never going to get safe. And the engine says black is completely losing here. Okay, now another line that black can play, another trap that black can fall into, is to play the move knight f6, which is a fine move. Some people play a6 here. They want to play bishop g4 pinning the knight, so they don't want to play e6 because that blocks their bishop. They play a6. They can play c5 later. They can play b5. Whoa, that's the drunken b5. Play b5 later. And after knight f3, some club players will blunder here and play bishop g4. This move is so bad, it loses to 3 different moves. Isn't that amazing? The cute move, which isn't the best, but it's close, is knight e5. That's the cute move. That way, if you take the queen, I have checkmate. That's cute. And black needs to play bishop e6 here, and after takes, black is strategically lost. His pawn structure is absurd. His bishop on f8 is terrible. The other way to win is queen b3, which is a simple double threat of the f pawn and the b pawn. And the best way to play is a well-known trick, which is bishop f7 check, king f7, knight e5 check, winning the bishop on g4, white's up a pawn, and black's king is terrible. Black moves the king somewhere, I don't know, here. And white's a pawn ahead with a much better position, and black can't castle. Completely winning for white. So those are some Queen's Gambit accepted traps. If you play that way with white, occasionally your opponent will fall into one of those traps, and you can win a game very quickly. And looks like in some of those positions, black was playing the King's Gambit with his own king. Got to be careful when you have the black pieces. I hope you enjoyed that video and our new video series. And this is Grandmaster Ben Finegold. Until next time, bye everybody.